Anatomy of a Phenomena, a social studies report for grade 10 by Lloyd and WSJ. During the Second World War, soldiers stationed in the local barracks told a variety of ribald stories about bobs or floaters, some claiming them to be Nazi secret weapons, the floaters being an occult fifth column. A more serious incident, however, was to take place in 1955, after the arrival of the Ford plant began to change the dynamics of the formerly somnolent village. On the evening of May 8th, Jimmy Johnson, 19, picked up Christina Brown in his black 1946 Ford Coupe and drove to Lyons Lane, a local lover's lane situated near both the St. Mary's Pioneer Cemetery and the edge of the Valley of the 16. The two had been intimate when Christina began screaming that, "Some guy is looking in at us." Straightening his clothes, Johnson sprang from the vehicle, but as he attempted to look around, he was suddenly swarmed by a bunch of flying heads, which swooped and butted him, forcing him to throw up his hands for protection. The young man staggered away from his tormentors, and unaware of where he was going, stumbled over the ridge and fell 60 feet down to the creek below. Johnson landed in about 5 feet of water, which cushioned his fall, but he was still badly cut and bruised from rolling down the rocky side of the valley. He managed to pull himself out of the creek, but was too hurt and dazed to do anything more than collapse. But as he lay stunned, he could hear his date screaming, until the screaming stopped. Eventually, Johnson was able to drag himself to the fishing hole beneath the C&R train bridge, where he found help, and within the hour a patrol car found his abandoned vehicle, but there was no sign of Christina. Nor has there been any to the time of this writing, 1972. In spite of an intensive manhunt involving hundreds of searchers, Christina had vanished without a trace. But over the years came a number of tantalizing reports which indicated that she might still be alive. Exhibit A. For several months after the disappearance, both Christina's mother and grandmother claimed to have seen her peering into their bedroom windows at night, even though the grandmother's bedroom was on the second floor of their 2-story house. Exhibit B. Jimmy Johnson, who took several months to recover from his injuries, also claimed to have awakened in the middle of the night to find Christina hovering over his bed. At first she kissed him, but then suddenly appeared to become agitated and began biting him about the face and lips until he screamed out in both anger and fright. His family would have dismissed Johnson's vision of the missing girl as a bad nightmare, but his face was covered with blood and with lacerations from what appeared to have been human teeth. No rational explanation was ever given for the apparent attack, but Johnson moved to Western Canada as soon as he was well enough to leave the province. Exhibit C. Christina was spotted at a number of places in both Canada and the U.S. In 1962, a young woman who had gone to high school with the missing girl claimed to have seen her in downtown Buffalo, New York. She tried to accost her, but lost her in the crowd inside a busy department store. Exhibit D. The headless body of a naked woman, found on the dunes at Burlington Beach during the fall of 1957, was tentatively identified as that of Christina, but an uncle failed to identify her after viewing the remains at the Hamilton morgue. This DB, dead body, has never been identified. Local teenagers, both in the 1950s and today, harbor no doubts as to the cause of Christina's disappearance and probable murder. She and Jimmy Johnson have been attacked by floaters, the night floaters. This report to be continued.